All right, so I've been watching the Laura Ingraham show a couple of times now, which just began on Fox within the last, I don't know, few weeks. And I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. And, I was never a big fan of her radio show, but I think the radio show is a much more controlled environment. Right now, she has to swim in the sort of the stream of today, the current of now, as opposed to like O'Reilly, who had been there so long and was such a you know, bloated force that he could pick and choose when he wanted to be antagonistic with people and not, and he had a lot of people that were kind of, pinch me, poke you type of thing, where she's got to like deal with, this new environment and kind of prove herself. And I think Laura Ingraham is a good person for sure, but it's really frustrating the few times I've seen her where I just think, why don't you say this or why did you say that? And she lets these people get away with things, and then she does it where okay, we're out of time, which I mean, that's normal, the out of time, but she does it in a way where it's clearly like this is getting away from me. I need to stop now. You know what I mean? And with people that should be destroyed, but she doesn't because she's not used to it, so she wanders in with them into sort of, into the forest, and then she looks around and goes, where the fuck am I? You know what I mean? She goes, okay, we're out of time. And, um, I watched Tucker Carlson. I've only seen each of these shows less than probably 10 times. Definitely less. Laura Ingraham maybe a few times. Tucker Carlson a few times, 4 or 5 times. Probably not the whole show. But I noticed with him, and I saw him years earlier when he was in the bow tie period, which I think lasted a long time. But you can tell he's frustrated and fed up. He's gone through the arguments with people and in his mind, probably socially and DC cocktail circuits or something. And so he gets it, you know what I mean? And he fights. He wants to say things sometimes that he doesn't. Like for instance, with the whole Russia thing, when that was constantly coming up, he would say, you know what? Do we want to talk about foreign countries and their influence on the United States? And he'd be saying this to like some Democrat screaming about Russia and hacking. He'd be like, well, let's have that conversation about foreign countries' influence on the United States policy, right? That's what you're talking about. And he knew exactly what that meant, which meant AIPAC and Israel, which is the #1 influence on American politics and foreign policy specifically. So it's the most powerful lobby, and it's a tiny little country. So the point is, he would say that, and it'd shut up, right? So he knows even more. He's gone to the point where he knows he can't go any further, right? So that's a point where he's pretty much mastered the basics that you can talk about on TV. Whereas Laura Ingraham is lost, and it would help someone like her to get on YouTube and argue with people. I don't know about Facebook. I get a little bit of Twitter. People seem to be sort of scared of me or something. You don't get a lot of responses, but on YouTube there's a heavy amount of engagement, and that would really help somebody like her, or she would realize her limitations. I mean, but I think she's a smart enough, very smart woman. I think it would definitely help her, because I can tell she's not sharp on that, which is kind of a cool thing about YouTube arguing. Um, my whole family just argued with each other from the earliest time I can remember, and my relationships, many of them were heavily, argumentative. Um, but it was usually, sometimes it could get exasperating or even a little bit hostile, but typically it wasn't. It wasn't hostile. It was like respectful to who has the better logic. You know what I mean? The better logic would win, but not in my relationships, in my family. Um, Typically, it's complicated, but the point is that Laura Ingraham is hitting her head against the cement ceiling, and I don't know. The thing about these shows is that they're designed to prevent certain people from being on them. You know what I mean? You have to be able to play the game to get on this show. Being on cable or the radio is no different than playing baseball. Do you know what I mean? You don't just run out into the middle of the field with your baseball bat, hit the ball into the stands, right? You have to go to the plate, you have to wait in line, you have to run to the first base, which is, why is it the first base? Because they said that's the one on the right. right? So it's the same thing with cable and all these shows. You have to play the game. It's an arbitrary game, has a set of rules that are not about truth and honesty and the serious fundamental inquiry into like the nature of reality. It's like, this is a game you play. You go up to the plate, you do this, and they self-select for the guys who come up, and they watch them go through the minor leagues and they play in college and high school, and you have to play the game. And they can trust you to play the game, right? Because think about it, I could get people that would be better on these shows or on radio than anyone on radio if you just gave me a week to go around to different bars and find a few people, or restaurants or wherever, right? But those people would be liabilities. What's going to happen if that guy says something that's not acceptable, right? And all the advertisers bail. How many times can they tolerate that happening before the channel gets bailed on? You know, what about, like, you know, the insurance and the policies they have to sign with these people? How much money are they losing? Are they throwing away? What about the training and all this stuff, right? So it's not, the whole system is designed antithetically to people who pursue truth, which is just running out into the outfield with a baseball and a bat and saying, fuck you, and just hitting the ball into the stands, right? But you can't do that. And it weeds those people out and prevents them. So what we get is constantly subpar, because it's like, it's a game for slaves, you know? And then you get the slaves. And it's like, who's the best slave on TV?